New Year's 2026, this problem's getting very, very serious. The institutional self is now fully enclosed and encapsulated, with majority of my life encapsulated. My jaw is completely snagged shut, 24 hour a day completely snagged shut, crippling, catastrophic breaking sessions and mortification of self, committing crime against my power and stripping it out all day, round the clock, 24 hours a day, crippling, catastrophic breaking sessions, internally breaking down the self, committing crime against my power and stripping it out. My jaw is completely shut for over 10 months. My jaw is now, I've classed it as a critical state, costing me 80%, if not more, of my life, if not 100%. So they've completely encapsulated my life. My jaw's shut. My ability to breathe is getting worse. My ability to sleep, being woken 5 times a night. And I've not had a full erection or a penis erection now in months. They've completely stripped out any ability to get a full erection. I've just got my erection size has been lost 2/3 over the last 10 months with my jaw wide shut, and the controlled state's getting worse and worse. This is catastrophic talk. My entire life is encapsulated with the institutional self. It is a full, overwhelming institutionalisation, a full controlled state costing me every day of my life. There is no doubts about that. Every day of my life I'm losing with all my power internalised. All my ability to get a life in society has been encapsulated and internalised. It's costing me 80% of my life, if not more. Like I said, 80%, and in some areas, 100% of my life. They've snagged or internalised all my ability to get power in society to leave me in a controlled state with my jaw wired shut and my life completely encapsulated. Crippling, catastrophic breaking sessions all day, every day, losing every day of my life. Catastrophic, crippling breaking sessions all day around the clock, committing crime against my internal power or drive over my own life and internalising it, and it's wired my jaw shut. All day, every day, humiliating, degrading, crippling, transgressions, crippling, degrading all day. Like I said, it's cost me the best years of my life. This is not mental illness in any way. My jaw is completely wide shut. They snagged all my ability to speak for myself and all my physical capability to get drives in society, all my physical ability to breathe for myself, all my physical ability to sleep, so I'm getting woken 5 times, and all my ability to get a full penis erection. So for me, this is fully internalised my entire life. All my entire life stripped out. Internal crippling mortification of self is stripped out or pulled out majority of my life. The brain dead state I'm in now is a crime against humanity, because my jaw's wide shut and they've pulled out that much power to think or speak for myself. It's a crime against humanity. The brain dead state, the quality of life that I've got is very limited. Like I said, I'm going to say with 80% of my life I've lost, because they stripped out 80% of my physical power to go to the gym, get a physical erection, breathe, have sex. I've got very limited, if any, recognition of sexual tension, sex power, sex prowess. They've pulled all my ability to get any life out, internalised it all in a controlled state. All I can summarise it is they've set off with the intent over 10 years of costing me every day of my life to pull my life out and create a full overwhelm or a full institutional self. It means they strip my entire life out into the institutional self to encapsulate my life and leave somebody in a full control robotic state, a full control state. It's known as a full controlled self. It's a full overwhelm. It means you're in a full controlled state with a state having full physical control over you, with the institutional self encapsulating your entire life. So you've got no physical control over your own life. You're in a full robotic controlled state. You're in a full controlled state with your entire life snagged or internalised. So that's what they've set out with the objective to do, and it's obviously cost me. I'm now 33 years old, as of yesterday, basically, and I have been in a critical condition now for I've said it's inhumane to stay alive for 7 years. This is now the 7th year where it's been inhumane to be alive. I don't mean uncomfortable. I don't mean nasty. I don't even mean criminal. I mean high risk, inhumane to be alive because of crippling breaking sessions with my jaw wide shut and it getting closing more and more. The encapsulation process is closing more and more. crippling breaking sessions all day around the clock, committing crime against me internally, causing catastrophic and horrific torture, committing crime against my power internally, all day, every day. So basically, they've made a human punch bag where they open an institutional self to strip my power out and eventually bring the process forward. When they've stripped my entire life out and you're in a full control state. I've seen people in jail. I've seen full overwhelm cases in jail that have had all the power stripped out and they're in a full controlled state with no idea, no power or control over their own life, a full powerless controlled state with a system committing crime against them, not only internally, but within the institute, getting them assaulted in a full brain dead controlled state, getting them attacked. What I mean by a drone-like, powerless controlled state where they're in a full controlled state in the system and the officers are making a story with them in a controlled state themselves because they've encapsulated the power over their own life over an extended period of time and created essentially a drone-like human punch bag where they've internalized or stripped out in mortification of self their entire life over years and encapsulated it to bring forward in a controlled state, saying it's unfit to work, mentally ill. So basically they said that they're mentally ill and unfit to work, strip out all the power and internalise it, and they've got a human being as a human punch bag. My jaw is catastrophically wired shut beyond any crime I've ever seen. My internal organs are being suppressed. It's pressing on my internal organs. All I can say is it's costing me every day of my life for crippling breaking sessions, crippling transgressions and mortification of self into the power of my own life. They snagged all my ability to speak for myself. They snagged every single bit of my ability to get a physical erection. I've got no sense. I've got no ability to nothing. They stripped my entire life out, 80% of my life in every aspect. So for me, there's no doubt whatsoever there needs to be a lot more regulation on what it is they're doing. But they know they're doing that because if you read any book in sociology, it'll tell you it's a deliberate process. Any genetics that they don't want in society, they just gradually break down the self and internalise it into an institutional state. They end up in mental health wards or on long-term sentences, usually spend the rest of their life within institutes because they've had all the power internalised or they've been subject to mortification of self. The system has stripped out all their drive over their own life or control over their own life until that they're in a controlled state where the system just uses them as a punch bag. They just get crime committed against them with drugs, mental illness, and the institute itself being the main problem. So they just blame the conditions in the institute, the drugs and the mental illness, and they just encapsulate the life for the jaw shut like mine. And internally, if like crippling, degrading into the power all day, saying, hey, we're addressing behavioural issues, we're addressing mental illness, when in a matter of fact, they're just fresh meat or basically human punch bags with crippling transgressions and crime being committed against them internally, causing catastrophic physically, in some cases, killing people. Like when they're internalising the breathing like they are me, and it's killing people because they're stripping the power out into the institutional self and bringing it forward. So, crippling, degrading, no paranoia. I've seen it with my own two eyes, with my own very two eyes, where there's been cases in jail that are in a full control state that have got no power or fault for themselves because the system and officers within the system have stripped all their ability to think for themselves or control over their own life out. It's encapsulated the power and they've just been moving around in a controlled state. Officers in the system creating their own stories with people in a controlled state, creating their own mental illness behaviours in a controlled state, creating their own synthetic stories. They're creating the